Alright, good old Benny boy, our favorite adventurer from Mondstadt. It's time to talk about him. Because no matter what you believe Bennett to be, where you think he's from, or how significant you might think he is to Genshin's lore, which believe me, we're gonna talk about, it can't be denied that Bennett is significant. He is not just your run-of-the-mill adventurer with bad luck. And now with Natlan released, we have a lot more detail about how that nation functions, so we can try to pinpoint exactly where Bennett's from, how he was found, and why he was brought to Mondstadt. Which tribe in Natlan is he originally from, or is he even from a tribe to begin with? But before we try to pinpoint some possibilities about Bennett's origin and who he actually is, let's go over what we actually know and build off that. To summarize his story, Bennett was found as a baby in an extremely harsh and almost hell-on-earth-like environment. And obviously we know in Natlan, the Marajavari is the most harsh location in that region, said to have formed through the turbid black tide, an abyssal event that happened in Natlan's history with Tenok and other Natlan heroes. And now that we're in Natlan, you can actually see a giant volcano and see it erupt from time to time in the distance, and we're probably going to get this unlocked fairly soon in one of the upcoming patches in Natlan. Now naturally, this place fits the description of where Bennett was found more than anywhere in the game, and it ain't even close. And it was said that an adventurer found Bennett as a baby there. Just found him as a baby, brought him back to Mondstadt, and then this adventurer sustained heavy wounds and then later died. But the adventurers within the Adventurers Guild in Mondstadt took Bennett in and raised him as their orphan. So Bennett grew up within the Adventurers Guild in Mondstadt, and then he would grow up to be a very positive and optimistic boy. But one of his defining character traits, despite all that, is his horrible luck. That is what he's most known for, but he doesn't let it get him down. Now, this is not new. People have been talking about Bennett and Natlan, theories about Bennett being from Natlan linked with the Pyro Archon, maybe holding a gnosis. These are all theories have been around for like 2-3 years now. This is nothing new. And we're gonna go over some possibilities, but it cannot be denied. There is no way that a baby can survive in a place like this unless this child is not an ordinary child, but somebody or something significant. Now we need to go over what that potentially is. It should also be noted that Bennett's story and how he got his vision is somewhat strange. He got fatally wounded, probably linked with his bad luck while adventuring, and he lost his consciousness. But when he woke up, his wound was healed by the flames, and the pyro vision was sitting right beside him, kind of like he woke from the flame. And then you can see Bennett's burst. Obviously you have a thumbs up logo in the middle, but the area around it, you can see this design heavily links him with Natlan. But interestingly enough, I don't actually think Bennett is from any of the tribes that we know of. And the reason being is each tribe is associated with a different saurian, dragon, and a different element. For example, the people of the Springs are associated with Hydro, the children of the Echoes, Geo, the Scions of the Canopy, Dendro. We have the flower Feather clan that Chask is associated with, and she's Animo. We have the Collective of Plenty, who Iansen is associated with, and she's Electro. The more mysterious one is the Master of the Night Winds, who we already have a character that's cryo confirmed within that tribe. Because ironically enough, we're in the nation of Pyro, but none of the tribes are associated with Pyro. It seems like they have all the other elements for each tribe, and then the Pyro element is associated with like the Archon, whoever takes up that title next, and the Grand Stadium, and the Sacred Flame. So Bennett, if you go by that, wouldn't fit in any other tribe. And before you say, well, what if there was other tribes in the past, and they were associated with Pyro? Perhaps. We did have Vanessa's tribe that migrated from Natlan to Mondstadt like over 1,000 years ago, and there could have been more tribes than that for all we know. Remember, Bennett was described who have been found in a location that's specifically the same as the Marajavari, and this location came into existence after Tenok's era when they fought against the turbid black tide. So the area which Bennett was found as a baby only really technically existed when there were the 6 tribes that we know today, and none of them are associated with Pyro. So it just seems more unlikely than anything that Bennett would be a run-of-the-mill Natlan native from one of these tribes with no significance. Not to mention, he would have burned alive as a baby there anyway. The adventurer died himself. Anyways, that's just one argument to debunk that I think he's just from one of these tribes. Now, we learn about the Lava Walker, a sage who ventured into the Mara Javari. And he's one of the few adventurers who actually adventured deep within this very harsh environment, and actually said to have found a phoenix there that dwelled deep within it. Again, I have no doubt in my mind it's the volcano we can see in the distance. But regardless, this sage is the only person who ever witnessed this and found a way to adventure here without getting burned to ash, and discovered a phoenix that is confirmed. Now, what's the deal with this phoenix? We seen Mavuika turn into a phoenix in one of the trailers, confronting the captain. Then she transforms back into her human form. Is it possible that the phoenix was one of the Pyro Archons of the past? But I mean, what if this phoenix is actually an Archon familiar or buddy? Similar to Ajdaha, Dvalin, Yaimiko, the Aranara? Perhaps this phoenix is an Archon friend. The phoenix would be a perfect Archon familiar to dwell within the harshest environment in Teyvat. And phoenixes are known to be immortal because they die and are reincarnated and reborn from their own ash. And like every other species within Genshin, can easily take a human form. But you might think, well, the Pyro Archon turned into a phoenix in one of the trailers confronting Capitano for a brief moment. So it could be the Pyro Archon. It's possible, but remember, Zhang Li also turned into a dragon when we first saw him, when it was said that he was killed, allegedly, in Liyue's Archon quest. But we learn later, obviously, he wasn't. Just because he turned into a dragon did not mean he was Ajdaha. So I don't think that necessarily means that the Pyro Archon was that phoenix, for sure. But perhaps that phoenix held the gnosis, similarly how Nervalet and Yaimiko hold it for their Archons. The reason I say that is because a lot of people believe Bennett to be holding the Pyro Gnosis. It is said that the Gnosis brings terribly bad luck and is an object that has a bad omen. Now, Bennett's entire existence and trademark is his bad luck, so perhaps maybe that is true. And perhaps Bennett is the reincarnation of the phoenix that dwelled within the Mara Javari, found by the sage, the Lava Walker, and then later was reborn from the ashes. Hence why an adventurer found a literal baby in Hell on Earth, and the baby unharmed. This would certainly explain that. And again, people have been talking about this for years, but what makes it more interesting now that we have Natlan is the fact that the Pyro Archons we learned in the Archon quest are mere mortals that ascend into Archonhood, and they pass down this title. They are mortals with families, lives, all people from Natlan. But what's interesting is, we don't actually know where the Gnosis is or if they're connected with the Divine Throne in Celestia, because we know Natlan doesn't have ley lines, which is already very obscure and weird. But instead of ley lines have the Wyab in the Night Kingdom, including the fact that the Traveler cannot resonate with Pyro, also very weird. I think this actually adds to the whole Bennett's carrying the Gnosis theory. This reinforces the theory that this Phoenix was an Archon familiar, was tasked with holding on to the Gnosis, but if it died and was reincarnated like Phoenixes are, then Bennett, if he's the reincarnation of this Phoenix, would have inherited it by default, and it would have been inside him the whole time. And now, because the Gnosis is inside Bennett, or Bennett's holding it, the Traveler cannot resonate with Pyro. Another alternative option is it could have been the Pyro Archon that perished there, and Bennett was the child or son of one of the Archons we've had. Because we know Natlan's ran through a lot more Archons than other nations, because it's a mortal that takes up that spot and that title. Similar to our current Pyro Archon that had a family of her own. Perhaps Bennett was one of the children of the previous Pyro Archons. And that is why he literally looks like somebody born from Natlan, but raised in Mondstadt and found in Hell on Earth, the volcano of Natlan, by an adventurer. But regardless of where you think Bennett comes from, how on earth did he survive in this harsh environment? And why would his parents, if he is a regular boy with no significance, why would they leave him there? In this terrible place? Why would you even bring a kid there? It doesn't make any sense at all. And if the lava walker, Sage, confirmed to us that there was a phoenix, a literal phoenix, in this location, and Bennett was found in this location as a baby, and phoenixes reincarnate and are reborn, it seems the most plausible to me. And again, what reinforces this is that all of the tribes are associated with a different Saurian and an element. But Pyro is the odd one out because I think that element is reserved for significant beings within Natlan, mostly Archons that the torch passes down to, maybe Archon familiars or ancient beasts like the Phoenix, and, well, Bennett. But regardless, Bennett has been one of the most intriguing characters with his very obscure backstory for literal years now, like almost 4 years. So, when we do get this volcano unlocked as a new area in Natlan, hopefully they drop a ton of lore and we can finally put this to bed. But definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments. What are your thoughts on Bennett? How and where he originated from? Do you think he's a mere mortal, the son of one of the Archons of the past, or a phoenix reincarnated? And do you think he is carrying the Pyro gnosis? Thank you so much for watching, hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and as always, we will see you all in the next one. Later.